You're standing in the fluorescent hum of a grocery store aisle at 11 p.m., staring at the price of almond milk. You do the math in your head, the same mental calculation you've performed every week for 3 years, and for the first time you realize you don't actually care if it's $4 or 6. You just put it in the cart. That tiny, silent shift in your brain, that is the moment your life stopped being about survival and started being about something else entirely. And this is the thing nobody warns you about. Everyone tells you what more money buys. Nobody tells you what it quietly takes away, or how strange it feels when the arithmetic you built your identity around simply stops running. So let's walk through the thresholds, not the numbers on a pay stub, the rewiring that happens behind your eyes at each one. Level 1. Survival. Somewhere between 20 and 50,000 a year. Here, money is not a tool. It's whether it happens to you. Every purchase is a subtraction from a number you already know by heart because you check the app before you fall asleep and again before your feet hit the floor. The overhead light in your apartment flickers and you've stopped noticing. The couch came from someone's curb. You have a specific talent, sharpened by necessity, for knowing exactly how many days until the next deposit and exactly how thin the gap is. The first real change at this level isn't the car or the apartment, it's the moment you buy something because you want it, not because you need it. A better coffee, a shirt that isn't on sale, the moment you described in that grocery aisle. It feels like nothing. It feels like everything. But here's the consequence, and it's the one people don't see coming. The struggle was a bond. When you and your friends were all broke together, splitting a check to the cent, laughing about it, that was intimacy. Shared scarcity is glue. The second you can cover your own third without flinching, something loosens. You start being the one who says, "Don't worry about it," and you watch a tiny flicker of distance open in someone's face. You didn't mean to, but the ground you stood on together just shifted under one of you. Level 2. Comfort. Roughly 100 to 250,000. Now the mental math changes categories entirely. You stop counting dollars and start counting hours. Money is no longer the scarce thing. Time is. You'll pay to skip the line, pay to have groceries appear at your door, pay someone to clean the space you're never in because you're working. The clutter of necessity gets replaced by something colder and cleaner. Curated minimalism. Fewer objects, but every one chosen. A window with an actual view. Warm, intentional light, instead of the flickering overhead you finally stopped tolerating. This is also where a lot of people quietly expect to feel finished. And it's worth naming what the research actually suggests here. Carefully. There's a well-known idea that happiness plateaus once your basic needs are covered, that beyond a certain point, more income stops buying more well-being. The evidence is more complicated than the headline. One large 2021 study published in PNAS found that, for many people, experienced well-being kept rising with income well past the point where the old story said it should flatten. So the honest version is this. It's not that money stops mattering. It's that money stops solving the specific problem you originally hired it to solve. The survival fear is gone. And the fear doesn't leave a clean space behind it. It leaves a question. Because here's the consequence of comfort. You become the successful one, and that role is lonelier than the struggle ever was. When everyone was climbing, you had company on the ladder. Now you're a rung above the people you love, and every casual conversation carries a faint charge. You learn to downplay the vacation. You learn not to mention the number. You develop a second language for talking about your own life, edited for the room. You have more room, more light, more control over your hours than you've ever had. And you find yourself sitting alone in the good chair, wondering why the wind feels so quiet. Level 3. Freedom. 500,000 and beyond. Into 7 figures. This is where the entire logic inverts, and it's the part almost nobody who hasn't been here understands. At the lower levels, money is for consumption. You trade it for things and experiences. At this level, spending on stuff becomes almost irrelevant. You literally cannot consume your way through the number fast enough to feel it. The car, the house, the trips, they're rounding errors now. The math you performed in the almond milk aisle isn't just quieter. It's gone. There is no aisle. There is no calculation. That part of your brain, the one that ran the weekly tally for years, has simply been switched off, and its silence is the loudest thing in the room. So money stops being fuel and becomes leverage. It's no longer what you spend, it's what you deploy, a tool that makes other things move. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "What does this set in motion?" You buy time not in afternoons, but in years. You take risks that would have ended you at level 1 and barely register them, because the downside can no longer reach the parts of your life that matter. The system that once happened to you like weather, you're now standing outside it deciding when it rains. And here is the final consequence, the paradox that waits at the top. When money can buy almost anything, the question is no longer what you can have, it's what is actually worth wanting. The constraint that used to organize your entire existence, not enough, is gone. And it turns out that constraint was also doing a job you never credited it for. It told you what to care about. It made the choices for you. Remove it, and you're left in a quiet, expansive room, not looking at a screen, not looking at a price, looking out a window at nothing in particular, holding a freedom so total it borders on weightlessness. And weightlessness, it turns out, is disorienting. There's nothing to push against. So you go looking for meaning that isn't on the balance sheet, for a reason to get up that the number can't supply. Some people find it. Some people spend the rest of their lives circling the emptiness where the fear used to be, half missing it. That's the part the salary charts never show you. Each threshold doesn't just add zeros. It rewrites what money is. Weather, then hours, then leverage. And each rewrite costs you a version of yourself. The one who bonded over being broke, the one who belonged in the group, and finally, the one who stood in a fluorescent aisle at 11 p.m. and cared, deeply and specifically, whether the milk was $4 or $6. You wanted to stop worrying about that number. You will. And somewhere in the getting, you'll notice that the person who worried was also the person who knew exactly what everything was worth.